Hey, welcome to the Insurance Buzz. This is your host, Michael and Courtney Weaver. We have a special guest today, Rockstar Farmers agent, Mr. Joe Wimpy. Joe, how are you today?
I'm wonderful. Thanks for asking.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on, Joe. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I enjoy visiting with people when it comes to the insurance business at all times. Every time we talk, we all can learn something. So it's always a good conversation.
Absolutely. So, Joe, I like to always start every episode off with how'd you get into the insurance business?
Well, that's a story in itself, but I'll make it as short as possible. A guy I went to church with was a district manager for Farmers Insurance, and he would come up to me at church and say, you'd make a good insurance agent. And I just kind of, no, I like you, but no. And I just ignore him because I had no desire to be an insurance agent. Well, who wanted to be? Because in my frame, an insurance person was a horn-rimmed pocket protector nerd. That's kind of the definition of insurance guys, right? And I didn't want to do that. And then I had met a couple of guys through some other buddies that were in the insurance business, and got to hang out with them a little bit. And they were driving really nice cars, and they were buying really nice guns, and they hunted in places I couldn't afford to hunt. And I'm thinking, hang on a second. And then I started looking at other people in the insurance business, and they all seemed to be doing well. And I looked at all of them and said, those guys aren't that talented. So what am I missing here? And so a guy at church comes up to me again after numerous times and says, okay, tell me a little bit more about this. That's how the process started. And so I started it part-time. I was working with another job where I was in the engineering sales business. I was 5 years old, I guess, something like that. And I was working maybe 3 or 4 months doing it, and my other boss was being a typical boss, and he was mad at me because I was not doing something the way he wanted it. So it came down to the conclusion. I quit, and I'm thinking, oh no, I'm both feet in this thing right now. And so my first check was $3.59. That's what I made the first month. And so I started from $3 and made a little bit more and a little bit more. But it takes time, as you guys know, in the insurance business. There isn't some silver bullet. And I was killing it, I think, and made $30,000 my first year, and I was killing it. And so roll the clock forward 31 years. It was one of the best decisions I've ever made, for sure.
That is incredible. So your first year you made $30,000, and that was 3 decades ago.
Yeah, and that was killing it, though. I mean, I was selling a lot of insurance. But you make $100 a pop. I mean, how many can you sell to make $100 a pop? I was outperforming most of the people in our district, or at least competing with the top performers. But I was just me. There was nothing else there. It's just whatever I sold, I ate. Whatever I killed, I ate. So that's where I started from. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you originally got into insurance for the wealth standpoint, I would assume. Is that fair?
Yeah. I just thought it looked to me like the other guys that I met and talked to were making a good living, and it just looked like it couldn't be that hard. And that was the truth. And I had no clue how hard it was. It's the hardest thing in the world to do is be an insurance guy. In our career class at Farmers, I think there was 54 of us in that class, and there's 3 of us left standing. Yeah. And I think that's the norm more than anything else nowadays.
Yeah.
Yep. So what kept you in insurance?
I enjoyed doing it. It was fun. I've always been very personable and relational, I guess is the term. So I like helping people. Everybody says they like helping people, but some people truly get joy from helping people. I'm one of those weird guys. It makes me feel good, and I like feeling good. And so when you're able just to talk to people and help them navigate the insurance world, which was a little confusing, I didn't know it was until I started selling it, started realizing that most people don't know what they're buying and don't know if they have the right coverages. And when you learn that, then you truly can feel you're helping people. And until you actually pay a claim, you really don't know it. So the luckiest day you have is the day, which is sad, when something bad happens. It could be a car wreck, or it could be a house catch on fire. And when you're the person that can show up because you did your job right and change those people's life and outcome going forward, it's extremely rewarding. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen that often, which is good. We don't want it to. But when it does happen, it kind of cements or validates the importance of what you do. And it makes the mundane stuff that you do feel a lot more rewarding, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, we always say that insurance professionals have the most noble profession in the world. I mean, y'all are there for people on their
Your
worst
worst
day
day.
and you help people plan for their worst day. And I don't know if there's a more important career or industry in the world.
I've had so many guys over the years, it be doctors or dentists or a couple of COOs and CFOs of large companies. I mean, large companies that I play golf with occasionally, and they've said the same thing. If I'd had to do it over again, I'd been an insurance agent. Now, I don't know if they'd been any good at it. I didn't have the heart to tell them that. We wouldn't have made it, but they see the value in it. When we get more mature in life, we can look back and see the value in things that we probably didn't understand when we were younger.
So I have a question with being good at it. What do you recognize as like some skill sets or characteristics, or what would you credit some things that you have that made you, I wouldn't even say good. I read your resume and it was like incredibly long with recognition. So I would like to know what things have you kind of worked and mastered to become the best.
I mean, you're the best. I mean, 17-time MDRT agent. I mean, you're one of the greats. I mean, so
Thank you. I don't think of any of that stuff. I think of the simple things in life is that I can control a few things in my life. I can control my attitude and my effort. Everything else is outside of that boundaries. And so that's the way I've always been. I just try to work hard. My parents installed a work ethic in me, and so I always figured if I could outwork the next person, I could be successful. As simple as that. And so sometimes I outwork myself and maybe not do it efficiently, but I'm working. So it's just controlling what I control, my attitude, my effort. The outcome I can't always control. Other people I can't control. I can't control surroundings. I can just control what I've got, and that belongs to me, and nobody can take it away from me unless I give it away. And I'm not going to give it away. And so I've always fought hard to do those things, and because of that, everything starts to stack up. It's probably a little more deep than that, and technology and other things you can learn. But you have to continue to learn. You have to live humbly, forgive freely. If you'll live humbly, forgive freely, love God, everything else tends to take care of itself. It's not as complicated as we all want to make it.
I love that. So attitude and effort, that's funny. We always say the same thing. And effort, I think effort is one of those things that you can definitely, and you're in total control of your attitude, but is there anything that you do that helps you keep your attitude in check? Because look, every day is not easy, especially in the insurance world. You guys deal not only with people on their worst day, but a lot of negative energy comes in and out of an agency. So how do you have a real good grasp on your attitude?
So there's a book called Simple Truths. I don't read. I hate to read. People make fun of me. I buy books. I've got books on a bookshelf over here everywhere. I hadn't read any of them. I want to read them, and I know that if I don't buy them, I'll never read them. So I buy them with the hope that maybe I'll read one day. My attention span is just not long enough to read books. But there's a group of books called Simple Truths, and they're little small books, okay? And they're motivational books is all they are. And there's one that calls Eat That Frog. There's one that calls The Simple Truths of Fact. I mean, so many little ones, and I can read 1 or 2 pages in them, and that's all there is to read. And they're all little motivational quotes and just things to remind you to be optimistic. The Bible, if you just read the Bible, read a verse or a chapter a day, you'll read that all it is motivation, not be worried. It's just that, I mean, it's repetitive. You're good, you're okay, don't be worried. If you start looking at it that way, you start realizing, what am I worried about? And it becomes easy to stay motivated. Now, the thing that I learned early in life is that when I started this business, when I started having success, I noticed some of my closer friends or people I grew up with kind of didn't really treat me the same. And I didn't understand why, because I thought I was the same guy, but they looked at me and thought I wasn't. I don't know what changed. I didn't think I did, but I started realizing you have to surround yourself with people who are encouraging and uplifting and who will celebrate your successes. That's hard to do. It's hard for anybody to do, but when we can always celebrate other people's successes, then you'll find people around you that will help you celebrate yours, and you'll build new friends. You don't get rid of your old ones. They just may not be as close to you. A good friend of mine, one of my guys who's a mentor to me out in West Texas, a farmer's agent, been an agent for 40 years. He said it best. I use it all the time. It's simple West Texas talk. He said, if you want clean water to come out of your pipe, you can't put dirty water in it. So start putting dirty water in your pipe and you'll get dirty water out. You put clean water in your pipe, you'll get clean water out. Make sure you're putting clean water in it. And that's, so I just try to make sure we're putting clean water in. Occasionally we don't, but we just try to put good input around us.
Yeah, that's incredible. So speaking to that and your environment and the people that you surround yourself with, did you have anyone when you first started, did you have any employees or was it you by yourself?
No, it was me. So I worked, I had just, I got married. I had a job for 3 or 4 years, not making a lot of money, but a decent job, but none of them paid a whole lot back then. And then I kind of wanted to migrate to this job. Well, my wife had got pregnant. She was a school teacher, and we were having our first kid. And so he was born in June. I started in January of that year. She quit her job. So within 4 months after I started, she quit working because she told me she was staying home with her child. She had told me that when we got married, that was our plan. And I'm like, okay, here we go. And so I started this job. I worked out of my house for about 8 months, and it was hard to do it. I can't focus at the house, and so I found a little bitty 10 by 10 office I could rent, and I moved in there. And then I was pretty good at selling and communicating to people, and I was really bad at processing paperwork. And back then, it's all paperwork. It's carbon copy, 3 pages, and you mailed everything off. So think about it. You fill out an application for Auto Home, you took a check with it and deposited at the bank, and you mailed the application to Austin, Texas, and you just went about your business like it's going to all take care of itself. You get a memo back if they needed something done different. They'd send you a memo by carbon copy. 3 weeks later, you get a memo. They had a question on your application. And so I tell people that now, they think I lived in the caveman ages. Guys, that wasn't that long ago. And so we did that, and so I wasn't good at processing. I was good at selling and communicating. So then I hired somebody part-time to come in and work 2 hours a day just doing process, paperwork. And then that person stayed with me for a while, and then I hired somebody more. She couldn't go full-time, so I hired somebody full-time, and then I outgrew the office and had to rent the office beside me, and just kind of kept, growing to where it's at now.
Yeah, so now you have 9 employees, is that right?
Got 9 people here, all licensed.
That's incredible. And tell me what the day-to-day looks like, because we chatted a little bit before, but your heart is in financial services right now, is that right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So day-to-day, my oldest son works for me, so he is my office manager, and it's always good. He's 30 years old. He's worked with me since he was about 17 years old. Matter of fact, here, you get a kick out of this. Wait. So when he was, I don't know how old, little bitty, he drew this. Let's see if you can see it.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my.
What you'll see there is him at a desk and a customer with a big piece of money or check in his hand, handing it over to him. And the top of it says, I can't remember exactly what it says, when I grow up, I want to be an insurance agent. I want to be an insurance agent because you can get a lot of customers. And he was in 3rd grade when he wrote that.
Oh my gosh.
So
that makes me want to cry.
Yeah, that's amazing. So he grew up wanting to be
working here since he was about 17 years old part-time, and he worked all through college doing this. And so he is here and kind of helps me run the shop and make it all work right. And so he has eyes and ears on the ground and people that care about me. But all my staff care about me. They're great people. So a day here is that they're handling all the auto and home. We've got different marketing plans going on that we're doing mail outs and other things that every agent does to generate auto and home leads. And we're trying to be really efficient at quoting the right stuff. That we have agency limits and minimums that we put in. We won't sell anything less. If people want less, we'll just tell them to go buy somewhere else because we know what less looks like when you have a claim, and we don't want to be on that conversation at that date and time. I think those things set us apart because people will stop and say, you won't do that. I said, no. And then now they're maybe genuinely asking why. And that's what we want to do, is because this is not the way it should be. Today in the market, I'll get off track a little bit, but and I'll pick on Progressive and Geico. Progressive and Geico advertise, I think, can't remember what it's a little over $3 billion. They cut back now, but they've around $3 billion a year combined, maybe a little more than that. And they're basically telling everybody, if you're not the cheapest, we'll tell you who is, or if you're not saving 15%, then you're doing it wrong. So what they've done, they've basically brainwashed the consumers that price is the only thing that matters. And so you can't blame a consumer that comes in here and says, hey, I got a price $500 cheaper than yours, I need to move. And I say, no, you don't. They said, well, I don't know. I said, do you have $500 extra dollars? Yeah, well, then you don't have to move. You only have to move if you can't afford it. And you get to choose to do that, and that's fine if you choose to, but make sure you're doing it for the right reason. And so then we go through coverages and try to explain to them why it's worth $500 more or $700 or $1,000 more. There may be reasons for it. But in everyday things in our life, we pay more for things. It'd be the cars we buy, the clothes we buy, the restaurants we eat at. We all pay more for things because we see value in them, because we can taste it, feel it, set in it instantly. We don't see value in insurance because we can't taste it, see it, or feel it until we need it. And then it's too late. And so just having that little conversation with people there, they like, oh, I hadn't thought about that. That's my job, is to kind of unbrand you or unbrainwash you from what you've heard. That way you can make a well-informed decision. Whatever it is, you made it with all the right information and not partial information. So I get off on that little track because that's something that communicating with people, that information is good. But the staff, basically, they're handling the auto and home and the commercial stuff daily. I get involved with things when someone won't call somebody back, or it's a really big case, or somebody that was referred and they just think I need to talk to them, because I get a lot of referrals. And so I'll jump in and talk with them, but I don't quote auto and home. I don't know how to. That may sound tacky. I'm just being honest with you. I've got people that know how to. I don't know how to. With all our system changes, I haven't kept up with all of it. I can pull things up and find people's accounts and review them and look at them, but I could quote one if I wanted to, I guess. But there's people that do that much better than I. And so I'd really defer to people who can do that better than I. So,
yep. No, I love. So I love that you got into the minimum limits, value-based selling. That's what we preach. That's what we teach. One thing that we always had at our agency was we wouldn't write, just like you, we wouldn't write anything less than 100, 300, 100. Like that was the bare bones minimum we were allowed to write. And just like you said, when someone would ask for more or ask for less, and it's like, sorry, you'll have to go to the guy down the road. They're like, what are you talking about? So it's automatic differentiator. So I love that you do that.
Yeah. It does. It sets you apart. And that's what you want to be, set apart. But again, the bottom line is I'm okay with anybody making any decision on where they want to go to buy insurance. I just want to make it well informed. So we're more teachers than salespeople. So we're trying to educate people on how it works, what the processes are. I always say we have the right to make really dumb decisions in life. That's normal. We all do it every day. Okay, so that's what I love about freedom. We can make good decisions and bad decisions. But nobody really wants to make bad decisions. So at least give them the right information. And then whatever decision they made it with their eyes wide open. And then we've got a good relationship. We can come back and get them in a year or 2 years, or they'll come back to us most of the time if they leave. And if they leave and have a claim with the other carrier, a lot of times they'll come back to us anyway. So,
yep. No, I love that. So I've got a few different questions for you, but the first question I want to talk about is that scaling process of going from one person to two people to three to now 9. You've separated yourself from that really P&C business, more of the investment side of business, where you're talking to folks about legacy planning, wealth planning, things like that. For those new agency owners out there that are struggling with that process, what are some things, what are some words of wisdom or advice or tips you'd give them?
I think today's modern day agent is not the same that they were 20 years ago even. When they hired guys like me, they were hiring sales guys. Our job was to sell and motivate and inspire and convince people why something should be done. You can be an extremely successful agent and be a horrible talker and not be able to communicate or sell anything to anybody, because you can hire out a lot of stuff and staff and manage. So there's agents I see that are killing it, having super success, and they're really just really good managing and organizing people and processes. And so I think the modern day agent is evolving to be more of a process oriented and a less relational. That doesn't mean it's perfect or there's not a need or place for the guy who's the relationship guy still, but I think that's moving forward. So to scale, I always thought when you got where your growth was stagnant because you couldn't grow anymore, that probably means you need to add somebody. And then I always tried to add to my weaknesses. Whatever my strengths were, I would hire to my weaknesses and hire people that were better at whatever I couldn't do. And some people who may not be good sales guys may want to hire sales guys that are bad managers of process. and people who are really good at process want to hire sales guys. So that's what I did, and there's everybody's carrier or companies who they work with, or even independent groups. There's always so many resources to tell you what premium levels you should staff, and there's no right or wrong reasons. I always tell it's just internal. When it feels like it's bogging down, it's probably bogging down. I always prefer to be one half of a person more than I need at all times.
Yep. So, because here's another thing I think a lot of business owners and I think people in general deal with is that complacency. So you get to a certain point, especially in the insurance business, you start making some money, and all of a sudden the feet go up on the desk, and you don't hire people, and you just kind of. So, what has kept you continuing to push to that next level, and next level, and next level?
I've got a very high maintenance family. They spend a lot of money, so I'm kind of. I'm kidding, maybe a little bit, but I've always been a competitor. I love to compete, and with farmers, is who I'm with. They're extremely good at reinforcing competition, and in my district I'm with, we are very fortunate to have a district full of some of the best agents in the nation. And so I just don't want to be left behind. I don't want to be someone who's getting beat when I know I'm not working my hardest. So again, it's that work ethic. And I know a bunch of agents who are very successful, who are chilling and going on vacation. That's fine. That's their decision. It's not how I'm wired. And I don't think it'll be how I'm wired when I'm 75. I just don't. I don't think that slows down. I think I'll delegate a lot more duties. But I think I'll definitely continue to talk to people because I thoroughly love communicating and talking with people and helping people make well-informed decisions. So
that I kind of want to tag on to that and ask, what's next for you? Like, if you've achieved the top level of success, what else are you still striving for? Like, what does the next phase look like for you?
Well, I don't feel like I've achieved the top level of success. So it may just be internal. So people outside say that, but I don't see it because I think there's so much more there. I mean, there's in the investment business, Farmers was kind of new to it. Well, actually was new to it 21 years ago or 20 years ago. And so we've been doing it for 20 years. And so everything we step is kind of like Star Trek. It's always a new frontier. So if you get to a certain level of assets under management, that's great, but nobody's been to the next level. Let's just go there, and let's go to the next one. And so I'm the guy kind of in the lead of that process. So I don't. If somebody passes me, that will make me mad, and I'll probably have to get in front of them somehow. But again, what really that's the competitive part. But what I really see happening is the more people I talk to, especially in the investment business, insurance too, but mostly in the investment business, the more people I talk to, the more I see a void, a really void of help for people. And it's not kind of a void, it's a big void. And I see people, I watch them make decisions with other institutions and other financial planners, and I'm like, why did they do that? Why did they do that? And then when I visit with them, it's like, I don't know why I did it. We could have done this. Yeah. And I just feel there's such a need to help people. And I can change so many people's lives. Not just their lives, but their kids' life, their grandkids' lives, so many lives down the lane. And I may never see it, obviously, but my kids and my family can, who will continue to run this and take it over as my kids grow. And so, I see so much potential to help a lot of people, and I don't see that ever running out. So. Yeah,
you're planting the seeds of an oak tree that you'll never get to
shade. Yeah, that's
right.
Okay. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. So.
No, I love that because the investment business is why we got into it as well. That was our main driving force, is to help folks with their money and investment plannings. And a lot of agents out there struggle with that piece of the business. So I'll go and ask you, because you love that piece. I mean, I believe it's still a belly to belly type of business and things of that nature. But what are some key things that you would say have been just this is if you want to be successful in the investment business, helping people plan for wealth, retirement, do these one or two things and you'll get it done?
Care about people enough to talk to them and have the confidence to talk to them. That's probably the number one thing. Is people care about them, or they say they do, but then they don't have the courage to talk to them because they feel like they're going to be embarrassed by the conversation, or they're going to say something wrong. If you have your license, you already know more than your people you're talking to 90% of the time. Okay? So just know that with confidence. Wear that with confidence. But then the thing you have to do, and I had a talk last week, maybe Friday afternoon with a bunch of agents, and one a couple of weeks ago, is understand what products do and how they all work. Because your your client's not going to understand every variable annuity or indexed annuity or every mutual fund or how 401ks work. They're not going to understand all that. They expect you to. But the deal is you have to make sure you understand it and make decisions to help them make decisions that act in their best interest, not only yours. And a lot of guys I know are not trying to do what's best for them, but they end up selling the wrong product in the wrong spot. And so there is some due diligence. You need to learn what products do and how they work, and always fall back on your common sense. This business can be so complicated, so drawn out, and so salesy by everybody, every wholesaler, everybody out there. They're not bad people. They're just built to sell their products. If it sounds too good to be true, just realize it probably is. Use some common sense, and your common sense will always hold you accountable, and it works. I always compare it to this when I talk to people. I said, because every time I go to a convention or some kind of sales pitch for some annuity company or some life company or some investment company, I leave. That's the best product in the world. I'm selling that to everybody. I have to back myself up and say, no, that's not the case, and have to go backwards and digest it and figure out where it fits, because we all do that. But you got to think about it. Their job is to tell you everything good about their product. That's all they're supposed to do. Their job isn't to tell you the negatives or tell you that when someone else's product is better than theirs to use theirs. They're not going to tell you that. You have to do some due diligence and work to do that. And I think that's where I learned that early, because I was fearful of investing Aunt Betty or Aunt Betty's cousin's best friend's $500 the wrong way. I mean, I really was. I see these people in this town. I was born and raised here. I'm going to see them, cradle to grave, a lot of them. Mm-hmm. I've got to be right. I've got to know what I'm talking about. And so I'm not a studier. Like I told you, I hate to read. But I could read small bits of stuff in the investment, because it's always brochures. It's 2 or 3 pages, and it was entertaining to me. It was engaging. And I continued to learn more and more about that business. And I think in that knowledge I've got has been so beneficial to the people I visit with and talk with. So I would say this: if I were going to go to the local Ford dealership and I pulled into that dealership and I walk up to the sales guy and said, I want to buy the best truck on the market, show it to me. He's going to sell me a Ford truck. What if Dodge is better, or Chevy's better, or Toyota's better? Is it his job to tell me that? No, it's not. His job is to sell a Ford truck. So think about that. My job, it would be like being a middleman for someone buying a car. I want to buy the best truck. Okay, let's talk about what you want it to do. And then I can go look and find the best car and sort it out and bring it back to him. So that's our job as advisors, is to understand the products, figure out what the customer needs, his wants and desires and risk tolerance is, and then just figure out how to make it work.
Yep, I love that. I keep hearing one thing, like keep the customer's needs the most important thing in the conversation.
That's it. It is always the most important thing. Period. End of story. It's always easy to say, but you have to focus on it to remind yourself, okay, I think this is a good product. Is it the best for the customer? Can I articulate why?
Yep.
And if you can't, then it's probably not.
That's right. No matter the promos, no matter the bonuses, keep the thing, keep the one thing. So I love that. I've got one more question for you, because we always get asked, what's it like working together? So I want to ask you, what's it like working with your son? What's it like working with family?
It's actually good, because they know you well, and you know that they have your back at all times, no matter what happens. So you can leave the office and not have to worry that something's not going to happen, or something's going to happen that's not appropriate. But my staff's the same way. I've got staff that have been with me 25 years. I've got others 20 years. I've got people that have been around here a long time. So they're family too. They're my adopted family, and so they care about me more than I care about myself most of the time, which is a good thing. And so they're always looking out for me. I never have to worry about my staff or my people not doing the right thing and not taking care of me. And that's extremely comforting. My youngest son I've got 4 boys. My oldest works here. My other 2 are in the real world, working, doing big boy and adult things and paying bills, and they're doing well. My youngest says he's going to go to work for me when he gets out of college, and he says he'll fire me, which we'll see how that goes. And so he's more in the investment side of the business, which it would be good to have him in here to kind of the two of them work together. One of them handle the insurance, one learn the investment business as we go forward. So we'll see how all that goes. So
Yeah, it sounds like you've got good, like, I want to say checks and balances, but job descriptions, duties, expectations, things like that. So everything's clear.
Yeah, I think so, and I think that I tell my insurance and my investment clients alike is that, look, guys, I've got succession plans. If I'm gone, I've got people that are still going to be here. This is going to be operating a long time after I'm gone, so you can feel comfortable knowing that some of the same thought processes and care for you is going to be here for a long, long time.